The snowstorm arrived without mercy, swallowing the city in white silence, and in the middle of it stood a thin boy no older than 12, his shoes soaked through, his jacket torn at the elbow, his fingers numb and red as he clutched a small, battered backpack to his chest like it held his last breath. People rushed past him, coats pulled tight, faces buried in scarves, eyes trained only on warmth and safety, and no one noticed the boy who had slipped on the icy pavement and fallen hard near the bus stop, no one except one girl. Her name was Eliza, and she was on her way home from school, boots crunching through fresh snow, when she saw him struggling to stand. She hesitated for just a second. Her mother always warned her about strangers, but something in the boy's eyes stopped her, not fear, not anger, but a quiet exhaustion that looked far too heavy for someone so young. She walked up to him, ignoring the stares of adults who didn't stop, and asked softly if he was okay. The boy tried to nod but failed, his lips blue, his teeth chattering, and he whispered that he was fine, that he just needed a moment. Eliza knew that was a lie. She offered her scarf, bright red and still warm from her neck, and wrapped it around his face despite his weak protests. She helped him to a nearby cafe, one of the few still open in the storm, where the windows glowed yellow like a promise. Inside, the smell of coffee and baked bread wrapped around them, and for the first time in hours, the boy felt warmth seep back into his bones. Eliza spent her pocket money without hesitation, ordering hot soup and bread for him, sitting across the table as he ate slowly, tears mixing with steam because no one had been kind to him in a very long time. He told her his name was Noah, that he had run away, that he had no phone, no money, and nowhere to go. He didn't tell her the truth, that his disappearance had already triggered a citywide search, that private security teams were tearing through streets not far from where they sat, that his family owned companies whose logos she saw every day without knowing their name. Noah wasn't lying when he said he felt poor. Wealth had never given him love, never given him warmth, never stopped the loneliness that pushed him out into the storm that morning after yet another cold argument in a mansion too large to feel like home. Eliza listened without interrupting, her hands wrapped around a mug of cocoa, and when he finished, she told him something that changed everything, that being ignored hurts more than being hungry, and that sometimes all a person needs is for someone to see them. Outside, the storm raged on, and through the cafe glass, two men in dark coats scanned the street with urgent eyes, their breath fogging the window as they spoke into earpieces. Noah noticed them and stiffened, fear flashing across his face, but Eliza followed his gaze and misunderstood, thinking he was scared of the storm or of being chased away again. She reached across the table and held his hand, small and steady, promising he wasn't alone right now. Moments later, the cafe door opened, a blast of cold air rushing in, and the men stepped inside, their eyes locking instantly on Noah. Time froze. Eliza stood up protectively, her voice trembling but brave as she told them to leave him alone. The men looked stunned, then relieved, and one of them gently knelt, calling Noah by his full name, one that sounded nothing like a poor runaway's. The truth spilled out in fragments, about his father, one of the richest men in the country, about security failures, about panic and fear and regret. Eliza felt the world tilt as she realized the boy she had fed with her last coins was a billionaire's son, a child with more money than her family could earn in generations. But Noah looked at her the same way he had before, eyes pleading, scared she would see him differently now. She didn't. She hugged him, right there in the cafe, snow melting off coats, adults staring, and whispered that money didn't matter, that kindness did. Later that night, as the storm finally eased, Eliza walked home with a thick new coat around her shoulders and her pockets heavier than they had ever been, but her heart felt strange, almost hollow, because she hadn't helped Noah for a reward. Days passed, and life returned to normal, or so she thought. Then one afternoon, a black car stopped outside her small house, and a man stepped out, eyes tired but grateful, introducing himself as Noah's father. He spoke of fear, of mistakes, of a son who had felt invisible in a world of excess, and of how one girl in a snowstorm had done what money never could, make his child feel seen. What followed changed Eliza's life forever: scholarships, support for her family, a future widened beyond anything she had imagined. But the real change was in Noah, who insisted on seeing her often, who laughed more, who learned that wealth meant nothing without humanity. And as this story spreads, as you sit here watching or listening, remember this: the smallest act of kindness can echo louder than billions, and the person you choose not to ignore today might carry a story that could change your world tomorrow. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that compassion still matters, don't just scroll away, subscribe to this channel, because every story here carries a message worth hearing, and your support helps us share more moments that inspire, move, and remind us what it truly means to be human.